And then he's like, okay, well, you suck on this dick. The reason why this guy got arrested was for driving under the influence.
Oh my god! Nothing.
Hello, I'm gonna talk about the books that I've read recently, starting with The Secret History. I don't have the book with me right now, but I made a whole video, actually 3 videos on it, and I did not like it, but I think that's mainly because I had different expectations going into it, since everybody makes it out to be this very dark academia, very aesthetic, romantic, elegant book, but really it's just people taking drugs, like a shit ton of drugs, and being very messy and disgusting. And also the writing is okay, but it's also really fucking boring. The plot is stretched out way too long. It does not need to be 600 pages. I don't want to spend another minute talking about this book, so let's just move on to the book that I read right after that. I would really like to show you the book that I'm talking about, but turns out I lost it. I spent the past like 5 minutes looking for it all over my apartment. Whatever, it's not a great loss anyway, since it was a Colleen Hoover book. I just wanted something very simple and stupid to read after that very long, tedious book. Specifically, I read the book Confess by Colleen Hoover. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Colleen Hoover, but she's an author who's very... people either love her or hate her. Like, there's no in between. And personally, I really want to hate her books, but they're just so easy, and sometimes they just hit the spot that you need it to hit. Colleen Hoover has nailed cheesy writing and cheesy characters. That is, well, cheesy, but it's not too over the top, so that it's still enjoyable. Colleen Hoover is also really good at grabbing the reader's attention. Most of the books she writes are romances. However, she writes them as though they were thrillers. And because of that, you cannot put the book down. Like, the books are tense, but also really silly and goofy and cheesy. You just cannot stop reading them, and sometimes you really just need that kind of book. Before Confess, I've read 3 other books of Colleen Hoover, which was Maybe Someday. That was my first experience with Colleen Hoover. I did not like that book. After that, I read Verity, which was a thriller actually, and it was... I really liked it, okay? And then third, I read It Ends With Us, and oh, actually I also read It Starts With Us. And It Ends With Us was good, was important. It's about domestic abuse, abusive relationships. And It Starts With Us is a sequel to that story. It Starts With Us was a bit weaker than It Ends With Us. Those are also her most famous books. Confess is, I believe, one of her less famous works. And there's a reason for that, because it was honestly just very cheap. Colleen Hoover makes a living off of her writing, and you could tell as you were reading that book. Not because it's good and she put her life into it, no, but instead you could tell that she just wanted to make more money. In German we have an expression, it's called aus dem Arsch gezogen. It means to pull something out of one's ass. Actually, that's also an English expression, isn't it? I'm not sure. But what it means is, you know you have to do something, so you just get it over with, but you don't put a lot of effort into it. You just drop whatever and say, okay, here, it's done. It's not good, but it's done. That's what this book felt like. It's a regular love triangle romance, except there's absolutely no chemistry between any of the characters. And the world building, if I can call it, I don't know. It's really flat. The characters are flat, the world building is flat, everything is flat. There are, however, some good plot twists, as is the case with any Colleen Hoover book. However, since the characters and the story in general is written so poorly, you as the reader, you don't care about the characters or what happens to them, which means you also don't care about the plot twists. I do have to say that the ending pulled everything together nicely. Like, Colleen Hoover, I've noticed this in her other works too. Throughout the book, she will reference moments or objects which had a significant role earlier, and then she will bring them back so that as a reader you're reminded, like, oh my god, right, that happened, and oh my god, this has a significant role in this situation too, even though it's a completely new situation. As a reader, it makes you feel smart. Okay, maybe not smart, but it makes you feel kind of clever. I really appreciate that actually, all of those Easter eggs that she puts into her works. In my mind, Colleen Hoover's writing process looks like this. She has her laptop that she's writing on, and then next to it she has a little checklist filled with those references or objects, whatever, so that every few pages she can pick up one of those objects or moments and use them again in the story. And then at the end of the book, she will go through the entire checklist again just to make it feel full circle, or to actually make it become full circle. And it's a very satisfying reading experience. The writing itself was incredibly cheap though, I'm sorry. One of those moments that was used as one of the references to make it come full circle, whatever, involved toilets. Sorry. If I remember correctly, the first 100 pages of the book were just the first meeting of the main girl and her love interest, and them just going on one singular date, and then at the end he accompanies her to her home, and neither of them want the night to end, so the guy tells her, yo, I need to pee. Can I please use your restroom? And so the girl lets him use the restroom, and that is the romantic moment of him fucking taking a piss. And then when the dude exits the restroom again, he tells her, oh my god, your soaps, they smell so good. Wow, I love them. Now you might be wondering, how is that significant at all? Honey, I was wondering the same thing, but Colleen Hoover did it as a way of talking about their exclusivity. The guy told the main girl, you know what, I hope you don't invite any other guys into your toilet. I hope no other guy ever gets to use those soaps because those smell so good. They are exclusive to me. Now to bring it full circle, remember how this is a love triangle? The other love interest eventually turns up to the girl's house and he asks her, yo, can I use your restroom? And she's like, girl? Wait, I have dolls. I can illustrate this with dolls. Okay, again. Bro, I really need to piss. Can I piss in your toilet? Well, my toilet actually has a very significant meaning to me. Well, yes, you can piss. However, I need to do something first. And then she goes into the restroom, picks up the soap bars, and walks back out again. And she's like, okay, you can go now. Excuse me, you just took all of the soap. Like, how am I supposed to piss if I cannot wash my hands afterwards?
Well, we still have some liquid soap, so you can use that. So, like, just go piss, boy.
Okay, let's have sex later. I'm not even kidding, that was pretty much how the situation went. I feel like that illustrates pretty well how cheap the writing was. If you don't want any spoilers for the rest of the book, then roll. Skip. The book Confess starts in the past. The main girl, she used to have a boyfriend, but the boyfriend had cancer, which is not nice. He died of cancer and she was really sad. A couple of years later, the girl moves to Texas where the family of her former boyfriend lives. This will be relevant later. I need another doll. Sorry, I only have other girl dolls. She meets her love interest. The love interest is a guy, an artist, whose main thing is to collect confessions from strangers, anonymous confessions at that, and then inspired from those confessions he will make artworks. How they meet is he's looking to recruit somebody who will help him sell his works on one business night, event, whatever. The girl sees the advertisement and says, oh my god, girl, give me the money, please. I'm like broke as fuck. So they work together for a night and, well, there's a lot of chemistry. And then they go to a bar afterwards and then they do some other stuff. And then, like I mentioned a second ago, they also go to her apartment and, well, they piss. And that's like so romantic. At this point we are introduced to our other love interests, to this guy, and he's a policeman, and also he is the brother of the former dead boyfriend. So they have history. The main girl views him as simply a brother-in-law. However, he has different plans. He sees the girl as his destined lover. I mean, if his brother couldn't have her, then he needs to have her, right? And he's a very, very manly guy. He's like the typical, like, I'm a cop. What the fuck? I'm gonna arrest you because I have guns and also I have muscles. I feel like such a child doing this. Following this, some time passes and these two don't see each other again. I think he had a business trip or something. Hello, editing me here. He wasn't on a business trip, he actually was in jail. Girl, I will explain that later, but crazy. But eventually they run into each other again, and well, their next date is in a Target. They decide, oh my god, you know what would be so romantic after our toilet date? We should go to Target. Lover boy tells the girl, oh, I'm gonna treat you so good. You can buy one thing from Target and I will buy it for you. Girly pop goes to the tent section and buys a tent specifically for kids. And he's like, okay, that's weird, but I guess I can buy it for you. And then they buy it and they end up setting it up back at her place. And what they end up doing is crawling inside of the tent and just like looking each other's eyes and being very romantic. Let's deep talk, let's talk about our life and get to know each other better. Keep in mind the main 3 romantic settings are a toilet, a Target, and a tent. Colleen Hoover is many things but not very classy. I mean, okay, I shouldn't talk about a real person like that, but all of her characters, they're trash. Sorry. Anywho, their tent session gets interrupted when... wait for it. This girl's son walks in. I'm running out of dolls. The lover boy had no idea that she did have a son. So of course he's surprised, but he's also like, wow, that makes her like so special. Like I'm kind of into MILFs, so like this works out for me. These two continue being romantic. However, the second that this guy finds out about them, he's really mad because these two have history. Oh my god, I forgot something. It is said that in the past, artist guy beat up police guy back when they were teenagers, so now they don't like each other. And as revenge, police guy arrests artist guy. Oh my god, I just remembered that's also the reason why these two had not seen each other for a while. Because he was in jail and after that, I think he was just too ashamed to get back to her, I believe. The reason why this guy got arrested was for driving under the influence. However, later on we find out the scene actually looked like this. So this guy, oh my god, wait, I need another doll. This guy, the artist guy's father, he's a lawyer. However, he also has a severe drug issue. His father has had a drug issue ever since his mother and his sister or brother died in a car crash. Whatever. Girl, there's like a lot of lore in this book, okay? But it's kind of, well, it's important, but I will remind you later, so don't worry about it. What am I... sorry. I just smelled this doll. She smells like piss, actually. I mean, I know like this book is all about pissing, but damn, girl. I got her off a flea market, so that's actually kind of gross. Where were we? He got arrested because driving under the influence. However, it turns out it was actually the father that had been driving under the influence. And then when the police guy came, he was like, this is not looking good for either of you. So if I arrest the lawyer for having a drug problem, for having drug possession, then like he will lose his career. That's not cool, right? So what we can do is I can pull revenge on you, on the artist, by arresting you instead. That way your dad's safe, however you will have to suffer for him. So then artist lover is like, yeah, okay, I guess we'll do that, whatever. I fucking hate you. I hate you too. Okay, now bringing this back to how this relates at all to these two. When police guy sees artist guy with lover girl, police guy gets really jealous and he's like, I don't want you to hang out with a scumbag like him because, did you know that he's a drug addict? Which is not true, but like, she doesn't know that. Once main girl hears that artist guy is a drug addict, she's like, bro, I am a single mother and I'm actually in a battle for custody of my son right now. So I'm sorry, I really like you, but we cannot be together because I cannot be hanging out with drug addicts while fighting for custody of my son. The artist understands this. He's kind of like, well, that sucks, but like, yeah, do what you need to do. Like my sign of affection for you is to let you go so that you can be with your son. Like, yeah, go be a MILF, whatever. And then police guy shows up again and he's like, you know what? Actually, since we're already on the topic of custody, I think what would really help the custody is if you and me would start dating, because I did not mention this earlier, okay? because your son is actually the son of my brother, so that makes me the uncle of this guy, which means that like if you were together with me, you would like pretty much automatically have custody of your son, because right now your son is under the custody of my mother, so you're like mother-in-law, but like not technically, not legally, but like if you were to marry me, then you would like be part of our family officially, and then you could have custody of your son and you could get to see your son all the time, because right now the son lives with the grandmother. It's a really complicated situation, but what we need to focus on is just he's essentially kind of blackmailing her, like forcing her into a relationship, because he knows she wants the full custody of her son. To make this a bit more clearer, remember the boyfriend that died like ages ago? Days before he died, these two like, they had some fun, okay? And then the result of that is this little guy, their son. Now her family said, sorry girl, but like we don't have the money to take care of this child, and also we already have so many kids in this house, so like we cannot keep him. So what ends up happening is the son gets raised by the father's side of the family, so by the grandmother here, and main girl ends up living with the father's side of the family for a while until the family moves to Texas. And then she's like, wait, hold on, you still got my son, like bitch, give me my son. She also goes to Texas, like moves there, and remember like that's how she meets him, and that's how like this whole situation started, is because she like just wants to get her son. So yeah, honestly the fact that she's a mother, that really surprised me. Like that was a good plot twist from Colleen Hoover. Like I was really not anticipating that, but when he walked into the tent, it was like, oh okay, shit just got spicy, shit just got layered. Okay, we're at about halfway point, no, further than the halfway point now. So these two are together-ish right now, and he forbids Girly from seeing her artsy boy anymore because he's just that jealous and insecure. However, they happen to run into each other again at, girl, guess where? At Target, and in the tent aisle again. So it's like, they simply exchange a very quick hello, oh nice to see you, and then he sees them and he's like, bitch, let's go. This girl is really not feeling the relationship between them, but she's like, I mean, I will do anything for my son. And then he's like, okay, well you suck on this dick, let me think about that. Some things happen, I don't even remember, but one thing leads to another, and she ends up with artsy guy again, like in secret, and then they have a romantic evening together. The next time that artsy guy enters his studio, all of his paintings are destroyed. Guess why? Because police guy broke into the studio and spread red paint all over the paintings. You want to know why he did that? Why he destroyed all of those paintings? It's because he saw them. I don't even know how he saw them, I don't remember, but he found out that they were on a date together and he was not happy. So his initial reaction was to destroy all of the paintings, and after that he storms to the girlie's apartment and is like, actually, what the frick? You told me you were together with me and yet you were on a date with him. Did you have sex with him? And she's like, I think she did. Yes. And then he's like, wow, but you still haven't had sex with me? You know how you can make all of this okay again? By sucking my dick right now. And she's like, bro, I'm really not feeling it, I'm sorry. And he's like, girl, I don't even care. Suck my dick right now. And then he starts like assaulting her. He's like, no, get undressed, suck me. Like he's on his way to rape her, okay? The police guy is on his way to rape her. And she's screaming, no, help, help. And fun fact, she has a roommate. She wasn't really that relevant in the story, which is why I haven't brought her up yet. But her roommate ends up barging into the room with a gun. She's like, bro, you better get off her right now or I will shoot off your balls. For real. And he's like, not my balls. And then he ends up leaving. I'm going into way too much detail here. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm gonna try to keep things short and simple from here, but ultimately they end up having a legal battle. So these two decide, okay, we're a couple now, like this guy is not worth it. He's still threatening her. If you are not going to be with me, then I will report you and your boyfriend for assaulting a policeman. And I believe he arrests artsy guy again. And while they're busy being arrested, main girl runs to the father of artsy guy because she remembers that he's a lawyer. He's still a drug addict, but he is a lawyer anyways. So she's like, okay girl, like you need to come clean. You need to tell the police office that it was you who was a drug addict, because right now your son is in a shit ton of legal problems. So then the father agrees, okay, I will go to rehab, I will confess, blah blah blah. And also, you know what, I'm gonna use some of my legal quirks, my legal abilities, and give you full custody of your son. I don't even know how he did that. Matter of fact is, in the end, we end up with these two together and she has full custody of her son. Okay, that was like a lot, okay? I'm tired now. Before we move on to the next book though, I want to mention the full circle moment at the end, because the epilogue, really that was what hit it in the book for me. That was what saved the book from a 1-star rating. Within the epilogue, we go back in time again to when this guy was still alive. Well, barely alive. He was a cancer patient and he's in hospital. And she was visiting him for the very last time because his situation was that dire. He was probably gonna die within a few days. However, her parents had already booked a flight, so she had to take that flight. And she was saying her last goodbyes to him. Also, this guy, he used to do art as a hobby, like painting. However, since he got that sick, he was not able to pursue his art anymore. And his mother and the girl, they decided giving away his art supplies. And they were talking on the hallway like, okay, like, what should we do with these art supplies? Like, who's gonna take them? It's too sad to throw them in the trash. Now, this guy is also in the hospital at the same time, because remember his family had a car crash? The car crash where his mother and sibling died. However, his father survived and ended up becoming a drug addict. Yeah, that car crash happened at the same time as this guy was in the hospital, and they happened to be in the exact same hospital, like neighboring rooms. Anyways, at this point the father was in a coma and the dude was just waiting around in the hospital the entire time, and he ends up overhearing the conversation between the mother and the girl about what are we gonna do with the art supplies, and he's like give me those, like too good to waste. And that's how he ends up becoming an artist, by the way. Oh my god, we will get into this more in a second. Now on the very last day, she's saying her last goodbye, she's like and then the police guy, the brother, enters the room and he's like, yeah, sorry girl, like you need to go right now, like your taxi is waiting for you, so please leave. And she's sobbing, crying, understandably, like damn, it's the last goodbye ever. And he's dragging her down the hall and she's just crying, trying to free herself of him. While they are waiting for the elevator to arrive, the girl actually manages to break free of his grip and she sprints back to the room and she's like, oh, I wish I had more time with my boyfriend, just a little more time. Police guy immediately starts chasing after her, and then artist guy barges into the scene. He heard her plead to have a little more time with her boyfriend, and he just starts punching the brother. He's like, I need to give her a little more time, so what am I gonna do? She sprints back into the room of the boyfriend and she's like, I leave you. She ends up needing to leave anyways. Artist guy is actually super inspired from the scene he just witnessed, from the love story between the boy and the girl, and that's how he ends up drawing his very first painting ever. A few hours later, when he finishes the drawing, he brings it to the boyfriend and tells him, yeah, I noticed the scene earlier, it really inspired me, so I drew it. Here you go, I want to give it to you. And the boyfriend is like, whoa, thanks bro, can you please do me a favor? And then he starts writing something down on the backside of the painting. He continues, can you please mail this to my girlfriend? I wrote her address on there and a little note for her. And he's like, yeah, of course bro, I will. And he mails it to her, and this is where things come together. The note on the back of the painting said something along the lines of, I love you even when I cannot, because I'm physically not part of this world anymore, like because I'm dead. And that ends up being the very first confession that artist guy ever receives, and this ends up inspiring his whole entire career. Essentially the entire reason that this guy ends up where he is and ends up meeting her is because of that one scene in the hospital all those years ago. Also, it's important to mention that during the time in the hospital, this guy used to have a very big crush on this girl, but of course she was still deeply in love love with him, so she didn't even notice him. But when they met for the first time, all those years later, he immediately recognized her. He was like, oh my god, this is the girl that I've been waiting for. I've been loving her all this time, and now she walks into my studio like it's nothing. And she doesn't even recognize him. She doesn't ever recognize him. And at that very first encounter, it is narrated from his perspective that he immediately recognizes her. And until the very end, until the epilogue, we don't know, like, how does he even know her? Like, what is the correlation between all of these characters? But at the very end, we find out that all of this is connected. The entire story is connected. These two would not be together if it wasn't for this guy. Because, like, I don't remember the exact lines, but he said something along the lines of, yeah, when I'm not alive anymore, like, I hope my girlfriend finds a nice guy like you. Or he plays a big role in this entire love story. And essentially, they are destined to fall in love with each other. Also, that first night when they end up at her place, artist guy notices that she has a painting on her wall. She claims that this is the last painting that her dead boyfriend ever made for her. However, he recognizes that it's his own painting. All this time, she carried around his artwork with him, and it's like, oh my god, like, everything's connected. And one more thing, at the start, I think the very first painting she ever saw of this guy was a piece about single motherhood, and she immediately started crying. And at first the reader, of course, did not know why it provoked such a very emotional response from her. But then later on in the book, like, you notice, oh, she's also a mother, and like, that's why, and blah blah blah. But like, it's like, that's what I like about Colleen Hoover books. Some references, they don't get explained. You have to read between the lines. You have to be very attentive and just pick up on all kinds of little details. And sometimes you even need to read the book a second time to pick up on those details. And I do still think the writing is very cheap, and it is not very romantic, simply because the setting is in a toilet, a Target, and a tent. But Colleen Hoover is really good at connecting things, and that's what makes the reading experience so satisfying. And that is why I ended up giving it 2 stars instead of 1 star. Still not a very nice rating, but like, you know what? She got an extra star for that. Okay, I was planning to talk about the other books that I've read this month too, right now, but sorry, I cannot, like, I'm sweating right now. It is like 35 degrees in Germany. We have no AC in Germany, and I'm wearing like fully wool clothes. And I just need to take a shower, especially because this girl smells like piss. So I will get back to you like tomorrow or something. See you soon. I need to be a little bit quiet because it's like 9 p.m. on a Sunday night. And one thing about Germans is, if you make a single noise on Sundays, you will actually get crucified. Like, we're very serious about this here. Personally, I hate this rule, but in Germany there are rules like you cannot throw away glass trash on Sundays because it's too loud. You can technically put nails in your walls, but your neighbors are going to hate you.
If you use a lawnmower on a Sunday, people will hate you. If you listen to music on a Sunday, people will hate you.
And also every single store is closed, so on Sundays you're just going to have to starve. I hate it, guys. Get me the fuck out of here. I used to live in Japan, and Sundays are like every other day there. Take me back, please. Anyways, let's get back into books, because I think this video is already pretty long. Because, girl, tell me why I was playing with dolls the whole time. Anyways, I hope you enjoy my doll collection. So I read The Secret History, then the Colleen Hoover book, and then I read a lesbian book. Actually, all the other books that I read are lesbian books. And this one specifically is a book that I've been wanting to read for years now. Like 4 years at least. No, probably longer, like 5 or 6 years. Because first of all, the cover, it's so cool. And also, I had a suspicion that it's about lesbians. And girl, I'm so right. I was so right. I don't even know why, but my gaydar is so powerful. The second I saw this cover, I was like, oh my god, I need to read this. And I guess subconsciously, somehow my gaydar picked up that something about those crocodiles is gay. That's literally all this book is about. It's about lesbianism. But unfortunately, it's like very nasty. All I want is wholesome lesbianism. Like, I want happy, nice, go-lucky representation. Why? Like, how come every piece of lesbian media is always sad or dirty and always has a very tragic ending? Like, can we have shit? Can we have anything? Actually, I've been on the search for happy lesbian media for a while now. And at this point, I could start a list of happy lesbian media. So maybe I will make like a video about good lesbian stuff. So you can maybe look forward to that. Oh my god, also, I cut my bang. Oh my god, wait, they look so bad right now. I cut my bangs the other day at 1 in the morning with nail clippers. It looks good, right? Tell me it looks okay, please. Please just, I don't care if you think it looks terrible. Please tell me it looks okay. Please. Okay, let's get back to this book. This book is about Taiwanese college students, specifically the girls, the lesbian girls. Specifically, it follows one narrator. Apparently the narrator is anonymous. The whole time I thought it was following like the life of the actual author, so that these were real life stories. Anyways, the narrator first falls in love with this one girl, but it's a very toxic relationship. I don't even know why, but the protagonist is always so toxic. It's like very arrogant, and they always start fights out of nothing. Like, you guys could have a good life together, but you choose not to. Why are you making problems for yourself? Why are you always searching for chaos? I just don't get why people live like that or how people live like that. But it's just the life this person lives is so messy, and this is gonna sound so condescending, but personally, as a person who has recovered from every mental illness ever, I am simply above that. Like, maybe I would have enjoyed this book when I was a emo teenager, but now that I'm like clean girl, I'm like, girl, get a grip. I did it, you can do it too. So like, what the fuck? In the book there are also other relationships described, but all of them are toxic. But if you're into that kind of stuff, like into being messy and not having any control over your life and being lesbian, read it, I guess, and maybe go to a therapist. After that book, which by the way is called Notes of a Crocodile, I don't think I said the title earlier, I wanted to read another lesbian story, but this time I wanted to read a more happy lesbian story. So I had high expectations for this book. Actually, no, that's a lie. I did not have any expectations for this book, but I was just hoping like maybe this will be a cute little quirky lesbian story, even if it's shit. I just want something lesbian that's not as messy as that book. And I was actually very impressed. One thing that I noticed though is whenever I have high expectations of a piece of media, I'm always disappointed, but when I have low expectations, I'm always impressed. So at this point I try to apply this to life in general. Like, I try to not have expectations of anything. If I don't have high expectations, I cannot be disappointed. And if I go into things blindly, or if I just completely turn off my expectations, then I can be pleasantly surprised, or I will be like, okay, yeah, I guess this is what it is, like, whatever. This book is called Last Night at the Telegraph Club. It is set in the 50s in San Francisco, specifically Chinatown. The story follows high schooler Lily Hu, who's a first or second generation immigrant. Lily was born in America, so that makes her first? Second? I don't know. One day, Lily finds this advertisement for a club, which is a gay club. And in specific, it's an advertisement for a drag king performance. And Lily's very intrigued by this. And she starts picking up on other lesbian or queer things in general. Like, one time in a bookstore, she finds a book about two women falling in love. And it's her first time ever hearing about that. And she's reading this book in the bookstore and she's like, things like this can happen? This is real? And why is it why am I loving it? One day, as she's carrying around her little collection of lesbian things, they accidentally fall on the floor, and one of her classmates, Kathleen is her name, she picks them up and is like, wait, I recognize this. Girl, you're going to that gay club? And turns out Kathleen, she's actually been to the club before with one of her friends. Hold on. People around Lily's social circles, they're like part of this group. She's not alone in this. Eventually they end up visiting the club together, and Lily gets introduced into this whole new world, and she's fascinated by it. She starts questioning herself, her sexuality, and what it means that she feels so at home in this club. After all, she also feels safe and at home in her, well, home in Chinatown, but now suddenly she's discovering this whole new part of herself. And of course, since it's the 1950s, it's still highly criminal to be openly queer. I don't want to spoil too much of this book yet because you should really check it out. I gave it 5 stars. Basically, the two girls end up visiting the club more often and they become more confident with their sexuality and they start exploring their sexuality. And the book is a very wholesome, gentle exploration of oneself, of queerness. If you want a queer coming-of-age story, read this. Especially for queer people of color, this will be a very good read. Hold on, I need to check my Goodreads review because I put it into words very well there. Okay, I just checked my review again and I was complimenting how well Melinda Lowe, the author, depicts being an ethnic minority or a cultural minority. Some subjects that Melinda Lowe depicts and does so very, very well are, for example, internalized racism. Like, this story is set in San Francisco, USA, and one of Lily's friends is a Chinese American girl. However, she sometimes brings up in conversation how she wished she looked white or something along those lines. She dresses very much like a white girl, and there was also like a beauty contest, specifically a Chinese beauty contest, but she was like, no, I don't want to put on Chinese clothes, I want to wear American girl dresses. And through this character, through this friend, this sort of ethnic cultural identity crisis was shown, illustrated so well. Also very, very well illustrated and very often illustrated actually were microaggressions or feelings of dehumanization or alienation. Like, sometimes Lily would be hanging out with a group that was mostly white, or well, all white, and one of them would make casual remarks about her ethnic background, and a lot of the times they didn't even have bad intent, but it just made Lily as a person feel very different suddenly. It was like a reminder, hey, I'm sitting here with this group, but somehow something makes me different apparently. Like, I don't even feel different from you guys, but apparently you guys see me as something different, otherwise you wouldn't be making this comment to me. In some cases, those microaggressions, like her being called a China doll, in some cases, the microaggressions, they were meant as snarky remarks, people just being weird, and some people were being racist, and some people didn't mean anything by it. But nevertheless, what matters is that Lily Hu was always reminded that she would always be viewed as a minority group, as different from the others, even though she is an American girl. Now that I'm thinking about this, I would describe this book as very sensitive because there are so many little details in this book that tell whole stories that address such big topics, but they are explained or illustrated in these smallest little details, like how Lily's favorite ice cream flavor is ginger something something, and her white friend Kathleen, she's never even heard of that ice cream flavor. Or how several times Lily was introduced to a group of people, and those people that she was being introduced to, instead of talking to her normally, they would ask the people that Lily was with, they would ask them, yeah, does this girl speak English? Or is she like an immigrant? Like, does she even speak English? Instead of just asking Lily herself, or instead of just addressing her or saying hello. What's also super interesting is the culture of Chinatown. In Germany, I don't think we really have Chinatowns anywhere. So it was really interesting and educative to learn about this culture, the whole own culture that is Chinatown. Oh my god, what was also so important about this is the constant threat of deportation that some characters in this book felt. At the start of the book, Lily was invited to hang out at a picnic with her best friend, and she didn't think much of it. She was just having a nice time. And then later it turns out that it was a communist meeting apparently, and communism back then, it was not very popular in America, to say the least. And because of this, because Lily took part of this communist meeting, her father got into a lot of trouble. No, actually that's wrong, never mind. No, her father got in trouble and was threatened to be deported because he treated a guy who I think was at the picnic or something, or he was part of this communist group, and the father treated the wound because the father is a doctor in a hospital. And then the police came to the father and told him, yeah, we want to know all the shit about this patient and surrender this patient to us or something. And then the father refused to do that, to comply with the police, and then they said, okay, bitch, give us your papers, because what the fuck? Are you a communist now because you're helping this dude who is in pain? That must make you a communist because you're Chinese. And then as a result of that, the entire family has to be on their best behavior, which means when Lily was spotted at this picnic with all of those communist people, Girl, her parents were mad at her. They were like, bitch, the fuck are you doing? Are you trying to go back to China? Are you trying to get us deported? Because it looks like that's what's gonna happen. This is a little bit of a spoiler, so maybe skip like 1 minute forward. One night when Lily is at the gay club, the club actually gets raided by the police for queerness. Oh my god. And being arrested by the police is not very fun for most people, but it's especially not fun for Lily. So Lily sprinted out of the club as quickly as possible, but when she saw that, oh, Kathleen has somehow gone missing, she wanted to go back and look for her, but at the same time, she could not be caught by the police. There are a lot of chapters in this book written from the perspective of the parents and like the aunts and uncles that also moved to America. Wait, is that? I think. Wait, no, maybe I'm wrong, but it was written from the parents' youth and how the parents met. They were only in America to study medicine, and then they wanted to go back so they could improve the healthcare system in China or something. But then they didn't do it because of war and stuff. Honestly, I was so impressed with the author because you could tell that Melinda Lowe, that's her name, she put in so much effort and so much research into this book. Like, she knows her shit, okay? There are also a lot of... Wait, let me try to find a page. For example, here, she often puts in these timelines of historic events that actually happened. So, like, you're reading, and at the same time, you're getting educated about Chinese history in relation to America, and also queer history. And those events, they put the whole story into a whole nother perspective, and it helps you picture the scene much better and understand the context, the everything of the story. Did you just fall out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of everything that is and everything that's been before you. Lastly, to finish this off, the writing itself is so beautiful too. I mentioned earlier how it's very detailed, but it's also so good at describing, illustrating the scene so that you can really feel part of it. Like how the lights in Chinatown, how the LED lights look in Chinatown, look at night. Girl, was that a sentence? No. The characterizations are amazing. Every character is well-rounded, and the setting itself is described so well. You can really... You feel as though you are in Chinatown and the LED lights are beaming everywhere. It's one of those books where you really feel like you're sitting inside of the eyes of Lily Hu and looking at everything going down. I highly recommend it. Again, 5 stars. Read it. God, I'm sweating. What the fuck? I just opened the window because I'm sweating so much. So if you hear some Frankfurt awesome air, which means like screaming and drunk people vomiting, I hope you enjoy that. Last but not least, I read a German book. It's called Den Mund voll ungesagter Dinge by Anne Freitag. This is another book that I've been wanting to read for some years now. I think 3 or 4 years now. This book was another nice surprise. I rated it 4.7 out of 5 stars. I'm gonna start off with the criticism of this book. I took some points off because this main character is guilty of having pessimistic syndrome. I hate pessimism. It's my biggest pet peeve, and I think it's so overdone. So many books, especially German books, because every German is a pessimist, unfortunately. The main characters, they're always like, oh my god, I have a perfect life, but like I'm gonna act so annoyed just because that makes me quirky and special, and like that's my only personality trait, is being ungrateful. Get a grip. And life is really not that serious. This book is about Sophie, who moves to another city because her dad is getting together with another woman. So for Sophie, the main character, it's like a lot of changes at once. She's graduating from high school right now, and at the very end of her school career, suddenly she has to get used to this whole new environment and also to this whole new city. And suddenly her family has 4 new members. Her stepmother, her 2 new brothers, and also a dog. Dude, the dog is lit, okay? We love the dog, we love Carlos, but it's a lot for her. So you know what? I tolerate a little bit of pessimism because she's just like, it's a big change. It's a challenge for a teenager to go through. But at the same time, this bitch is complaining, oh my god, the house we're moving to, it's one of those nice houses, like one of those houses where rich people live in. Oh my god. And then when she's shown the room that she's moving into, which is the biggest room of the house, and it's described as super pretty and super luxurious, and it even has a balcony, and Sophie's reaction is of course, oh my god, I fucking hate it. Like, do you see the balcony? Like, that is so not me. Like, I'm a little Grinch and I want to be in a little hole, so I cannot believe that they would put me in this room. It's not hard to be grateful. It's not hard to just be like, oh, okay, I guess this is my new room. Like, why do we have to make it even harder than it already is? Like, I get moving to a new house is hard, but you're making it even harder for yourself by just being a little bitch. Anywho, guess what she does? She moves to the attic. There is a window in the attic and it points directly to the neighbor's house. And as she's looking out of the window, she sees a girl her age. And one night she sees that girl having sex with her boyfriend. And that is their first encounter. Sophie just stalking Alex from her window. Since the two of them are neighbors, they end up running into each other a couple of times. And they actually become friends quite quickly, especially because they go to the same school, they're in the same grade. Alex is so kind that she introduces Sophie to all of her friends, which is objectively nice. But still, in Sophie's head, since she's such a pessimist, she's always like, oh my god, these people are gonna end up hating me. I'm gonna ruin everything. I just know it already. Apparently at her old school, she was called a slut because she slept with a few guys, and she's afraid that that might happen again. And honestly, she is kind of a slut. At one point in the story, there's a party and she makes out with 3 people, technically 2, but like 3 people. And like the way she describes it is that she kind of has no control over who she's making out with. Like at parties, whenever she goes there, she just makes out with everyone. But like, girl, you have self-control. Like, you're the one who's puckering up your lips. Like, you don't have to make out with anyone. So the first person she makes out with, she doesn't actually make out with, but it's one of her male friends who she's known for a long time, and he's coming for a visit, and he was like, yeah, I'm gonna join you at the party, blah blah blah, whatever. There's this guy Niklas. She doesn't like Niklas, but Niklas likes her. And then Sophie is in the restroom with her best friend, and they notice, oh my god, no, the guy who has a crush on me is standing outside of the door. Ugh, that's so annoying. I want him to like get my memo that I'm not into him. And then they pretend to be making out, her and her best friend, so that the guy Nick who's into her will see, oh okay, I guess we won't be doing anything tonight. But turns out she will be making out with this guy, with Nick, anyways, because they have the genius idea to do the stereotypical cliche spinning the bottle thing at the party. The girl who was spinning the bottle, who was directing everybody, she was drunk and she was such a menace. Like, she was stirring up drama. Oh my god, this is like so much context, I'm so sorry. But Nick, who is into Sophie, he just broke up with his girlfriend. But when they are playing spin the bottle, then the girl who's directing the play, she tells Nick and Sophie to be making out, and then his ex-girlfriend sees that, and like everybody is like, wow, oh my god, Sophie is such a slut because she just made out with Nick even though he just broke up with his ex-girlfriend. Which, I mean, like, technically Nick is the slut, but also like, Sophie, honestly, you could have said no. Okay, wait, that sounds like such a mean thing to say, like, why didn't you just say no? But like, in this case, like, why didn't you just say no? Like, you knew that he just broke up with his ex-girlfriend. You knew that she was sitting right next to you. You knew that you would hurt her and also Alex because she was also sitting in the room. So why did you kiss him? Here she is complaining like, oh, I'm gonna ruin it. Everybody's gonna call me a slut. Like, bitch, yeah. If you're gonna act like that, yeah. Sorry, wait, I'm sounding really mean right now, I'm sorry. The last person she makes out with is Alex. They keep playing spin the bottle even though the ex-girlfriend is like crying in a corner. The drunk girl, the powerful woman that she is, she tells Alex, the neighbor girl, and Sophie to make out with each other or just to kiss each other. And then in front of the whole group, they kiss. And then they're like, oh, I feel tingles. And they start making out like crazy and everybody's looking at them like, what the? Wait, this is better than Pornhub. In fact, after the party, Lucas, the best friend who witnessed the makeout session, he asked Sophie, girl, are you a lesbian? Because you kiss like one. And that starts a whole identity crisis for Sophie, because now she's faced with, well, am I a lesbian? I mean, I've only had experiences with men so far, but I didn't really enjoy them. But now I like a girl. But I think I also like men, and I don't feel like I'm a lesbian. I just feel like I like this girl. Why can't I just like this girl? Why do I have to put labels on myself? Which, that is so real. Personally, I'm also not a fan of labeling, like over labeling oneself. I find that it puts a lot of pressure on yourself just to put yourself in a box, even though in reality sexuality is fluid. Sexuality is also like really not that deep. Why can't we just kiss whoever we like? Why do we need to explain I'm omnisexual with a preference for women, and like 30% I like men, but only when they're ambidextrous and masculine coded and I don't even know. Moving on, the girls, they had already become good friends with each other, and sometimes they had felt a little bit of sparks. They had felt a very close relation to each other, but after that kiss they are certain that there are also some romantic feelings involved. But at the same time, Alex, she has a boyfriend, and also it is scary to out yourself as a lesbian, especially when you don't even know if you are one. At first they're afraid to even address their attraction to each other, but one time when they were watching a lesbian movie, the movie was Blue is a Warm Color, I think the English title is, and it's a classic lesbian movie. During one of the makeout scenes from the movie, the two started making out as well. They did not finish that movie, but they finished each other. Both of the girls expressed that that was the first time that it actually felt real. Before every sexual experience they had, it felt like the focus of sex was just on the guy, and the girls were just there to be jammed into, and then like, okay, the guy came, so now it's like, okay. But they never felt very part of it or very satisfied by it. But now that they had their first lesbian experience, let's just say they had fun. A few, I think, weeks later, Sophie's family tells her, oh my god, baby girl, you know how you always wanted to go to San Francisco? Well, your dad, he just got like invited to go to San Francisco, and all of us can go there for free. So this is like the chance of a lifetime, and we're so happy to go with you. But then Sophie, being the pessimistic, ungrateful girl that she is, she's like, why would you do that to me? Like, why would you like buy plane tickets for me? Like, I don't, that's so rude. Fuck you mean? Girl, give me those plane tickets. The reason why she didn't want to go to San Francisco is so she could have sex with her girlfriend. Specifically, she was titty sucking at that point. She did actually end up staying home. She was fighting with her family, and her stepmother, being a very nice woman that she is, she was like, yeah, you know what? Let's just let her stay home. That's fine. I'm so understanding, even though you're being very unreasonable. San Francisco has always been her dream, so why is she acting like that? Like, the pussy will wait. It will still be there in 2 weeks. While Sophie's family is gone, Alex's boyfriend is also gone, like on vacation. Like, everybody is gone. Both of them have free houses. So guess what they end up doing? 2 weeks off. As is typical lesbian nature, they were going fast. Within those 2 weeks, they fell in love with each other, like full on in love. I mean, technically, since the first time they met each other, they had a very close bond to each other. But after the 2 weeks they spent together, and they actually canonically were romantically engaged with each other, they said, girl, I'm in love with you. I would drop everything. I would drop my boyfriend. I just wanna... One thing about lesbians is they do not chill. We invented the term head over heels for somebody. Like, we skip every phase, every like talking stage, getting to know each other phase, blah 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 phase. Girl, we go straight to marrying, okay? We go straight to love. So there was also very accurate lesbian representation here. This is a spoiler. Wait, actually everything I've been saying so far has been spoilers, but this is like actually like plot twist, spoiler. After those 2 weeks have passed, the families return, of course, the boyfriend returns. One night they go to the club together, and technically Alex is still in a relationship with her boyfriend. So at the club they also like dance together and are romantic with each other. And as Sophie sees them, watches them being together, she's so jealous, she's so hurt that she ends up being a huge asshole. She had sex with another dude. She cheated on her girlfriend of 2 weeks. Remember Nick, the guy who had been into her, who she made out with that one time, and then the ex-girlfriend cried, whatever. He's still into her, and she was like, yeah, I'm so mad at my girlfriend that now I'm gonna have sex with you in a dirty, nasty club bathroom. Like, name a less romantic place. It was also very unromantic because turns out she doesn't like dick. At least she doesn't like his dick. All of a sudden she was reminded, oh yeah, every time I had sex with a man, it didn't feel like anything. And this time it's the same. I mean, honestly, the fact that they were fucking at a club toilet probably didn't help, but yeah, she didn't feel anything. But she did feel something when, after he ejaculated, she of course didn't come, they left the restroom, and guess who was standing there? Guess. You are exactly right. The girlfriend, Alex.
Oh my god!
The two girls immediately started fighting, like, how could you do this to me? No, how could you do this to me? You're a liar. Well, and you're a slut. And then they don't talk for a while. And then, super random, Alex full-on sends Sophie her own diary, like, that she's been writing for like years. Girl, we're not gonna talk to each other, but like, you can read my diary. Here, there's everything I feel. It's actually quite interesting to read things from her perspective, because the whole story is told from Sophie's perspective. At the end, with those few diary pages, we actually get to hear the story through little tiny snippets of Alex's diary. And it's also very cute to see how from the start she also immediately felt an attraction towards Sophie. And then at the very end, they make up with each other, they make out with each other, and they do a big road trip after their graduation. So it's a happy end, and I'm so glad. We love lesbian happy endings. They are rare, but they are there. Lastly, also with this book, the writing is very nice. It's sometimes cheesy, but you know what? You need that sometimes. If you're looking to read something German, check this out. Okay, and that is it for what I read this summer, specifically. I mean, only in August. I only read any books or finished any books in August. Next up, I want to read Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit, which is another lesbian book, and it's a lesbian classic, and I'm looking forward to that, and maybe I will report it back to you too as a fall recap. I hope you have a very nice day. Take care of yourself. Bye bye!